Hey guys, Dwayne here, and I'm here to answer my own thread. Remembering the 80s. This was my first vinyl community thread, and when I posted it, I really didn't know if I was going to get any responses or anything. And wow, I'm overwhelmed at the amount of responses that everybody did, and there wasn't a bad one in the bunch. Everybody picked such awesome choices. And yeah, it was definitely hard to only do one album per year. And I kind of meant it to be that way, you know, because like I said in the initial thread video, I find the 80s to be one of the most important decades in music because of all of the genres and subgenres of music that were so thrust into the limelight and became so popular. So to have to go and choose one album from, say, 1983 or 84, and you know, you go, okay, this is going to be the one, and then you're kind of going through your collection. It's like, oh, but wait, but there's this, and then oh, and then there's this, and then oh, but I got to show this one, but to have to decide then and go, okay, you know, or the point I was trying to get across was that is then to go, okay, but which one was really the most important to me that year, you know. And I mean, yeah, for me to do it, I've spent all last night and all of this morning trying to decide which ones I was going to show. Very, very difficult. And you know, what can I say? It was a challenge. It was a challenge. There's so much to choose from, and that relates to what I was saying about that decade being so important to music, because there's so much good stuff from, you know, so many different genres. However, for the 80s, for me, even though I love, you know, new wave, I love all that, you know, post-punk, all of that stuff, I love it so much. The 80s for me was truly about metal. That was my big thing, still is today. You know, when it comes to all the styles of music that I love and enjoy, in the forefront will always be heavy metal. I am a heavy metal person. You know, I'm a metalhead, man. I bleed it. It is my favorite genre of music, hands down. So my choices do focus a lot on metal, but not all, but primarily. And you know, one thing that I will say about 80s metal, I was not very big into, you know, the hair metal stuff. You know, I mean, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like the stuff, you know, it wasn't, you know, the stuff that just was so dear to me. You know, your Poison and you know, stuff like that. You know, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't really, you know, high on the old priority list. Anyway, so let's get started. Okay, 1980. Whew, what a year. What a year. And one of the 80 and 81 were such incredible years of album choices. But what I chose is Judas Priest, British Steel. Wow, I'll say that 10 times fast. You know, Priest, the band that gave metal an image, a look, leather, studs, spikes, you know, the metal god, you know, and British Steel, in my opinion, is the best Judas Priest album, period. Screaming for Vengeance, very close. I mean, we're talking so close. But this album was the album that I think Priest just really wrote and created an absolute masterpiece. This is, oh my God, just such an incredible piece of work. British Steel. What can I say? Yeah. So, 1981. Another tough year. But I've mentioned it before. one of my absolute most favorite albums ever written, and for good reason. Rush, Moving Pictures. The pinnacle, defining moment for this band. This, to me, is when Rush became Rush. This is when they found their signature sound. Even Neil Peart says the same thing. If you've seen the Beyond the Lighted Stage documentary, he even states it in there that this album, he feels, was when the band really discovered their sound. And to this day remains my favorite Rush album. You know, this was the album that really pushed Rush into, not to, you know, create a pun, but into the limelight. An absolute monster of a record. Still holds up to this day, never gets old. Every single song, you know, when you're talking a three-piece band and you can put out something like this that sounds this good, you know, talk about musical talent. And a band that, you know, if you like rock, you love this album. If you like metal, even though it's not a heavy metal record, I don't know a single fellow metal fan of mine that does not like this album. You know, what a monster. What a monster. There's nothing much else to say. Moving Pictures. 1982. Now, this was really tough because for 1980, you know, choosing British Steel, I had another choice, but I had to go with British Steel. So, and I already knew this was going to be my 1982 pick. So, you know, there's the shirt, you know. I've got the tattoo there. My number one band, you know, Maiden, Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast. This is, in my opinion, Maiden's best piece of work, period. Paul Di'Anno leaves the band. In steps Bruce Dickinson from Samson, and one of the most beautiful, most important marriages in heavy metal history. And in my opinion, one of the most important heavy metal records in the genre, without a doubt. Number of the Beast. Okay. 1983. Okay. Like I said with British Steel, you know, and Judas Priest gave metal an image. All right. 1983 steps in a band that says we don't give a shit about an image. We want to play fast, and that's what it's about. And this little gem was released. And I was working in a record store in Alameda, California, in 1983. I was working for Store Credit. Okay, I was never paid any money. I would just work there and get store credit and buy records. Well, this came walking through the door one day, okay, and this is not an original issue, but Metallica, Kill 'Em All. This is the 2LP, 45 RPM, 180 gram reissue. But this album walked through the door, literally walked through the door by Lars Ulrich, who brought us copies to sell. And back then, you know, what I thought was, oh, here's another underground metal band that's, you know, basically trying to get noticed. Little did I know back then what was to come. But this album, you know, I took a copy home that day and put this thing on, and I'll tell you what, Motor Breath, Whiplash, you know, when I first heard that, Oh my God, it was on. I mean, goosebumps. The blood that was flowing through my veins, I mean, the fist immediately came up. This was, wow, I mean, just, oh my God. And like I said, these guys didn't care about an image, long hair. That was all they cared about. They didn't need anything else. It was about, speed. It was about thrash. It was about, this is what heavy metal should be. So, such a defining moment. Kill 'Em All. And still, very close to being my #1 Metallica record. Still. Just because it was the record that I discovered Metallica with. I mean, Master of Puppets, yes, absolute masterpiece. But Kill 'Em All is so, so dear to me. Okay. We are on 1984. Okay. Once again, working in the record store. This came in. Okay. We put it in the bin. And I remember unboxing this record. And I looked at this cover. And I just went, holy shit. That has got to be one of the coolest album covers I have ever seen. And then I flipped it over. Okay. Now this is a reissue. This is a 180 gram reissue. Whoa. Merciful Fate, Don't Break the Oath. This LP, like I said, this is the reissue. I do have an original as well. The back's different here, but I chose this so that I could show you Kim here, King Diamond. When I flipped this over, and I saw the face paint, the Gene Simmons, we know the whole story to that. King Diamond having to change his face paint because of Gene Simmons. But this cover, when I saw that, I just said, oh my God, that's gotta be good. And took this home, spun it, and this was my introduction to Fate. And when I heard King Diamond's vocal style, and the guitar work of Michael Denner, and the recording is actually pretty lo-fi, and in a way it makes the sound. If you know this album, you know what I'm talking about. What an incredible piece of work this album is. A Dangerous Meeting, Gypsy. As a bass player, Gypsy is just an incredible track. I love the bass line in that track, but the whole thing, this just opened up a whole other can of worms for metal for me, this album right here. So, Merciful Fate, Don't Break the Oath. And then we got 1985. Now, I was a big fan of this band prior to this album, but when this album came out, there's some tracks on here that are just, I mean, the whole album is great. But I absolutely love this band, love this album. And this is Dead Man's Party by Oingo Boingo. I love Boingo. And this has Weird Science on it, which to me is actually the weakest track on the album. Just Another Day, the lyrics in that song just are so incredible. But I love this band so much, and Danny Elfman, absolute musical genius. God, I wish these guys would get back together. I really, really do. I saw Boingo perform live at Azusa College down in LA back in the day, I think right around 1983. And oh my God, can't say enough about this band. So Dead Man's Party, Oingo Boingo, 1985. 1986, hands down, no brainer. I've showed this album before, should be no surprise, but The Smiths, The Queen is Dead. My opinion, their best. You know, that could be controversial amongst Smiths fans, but I'm sorry. This is it. This is the one. The Queen is dead. Every single song is just incredible. Just incredible. Okay, 1987. You know, Abandon in the VC, I don't think really gets shown that much. But I'm a big fan of the band. Little band from down under, Midnight Oil, Diesel and Dust. And this album was the album that really, you know, brought them into the mainstream. You know, but all of their albums are absolutely incredible. You know, when you can take an instrument like the didgeridoo, okay, and put it into rock and make it cool, you're all right with me. You know, the vocals are definitely original. Just a great band. Great album. You know, Beds Are Burning, The Dead Heart, and my favorite is Bull Roarer. But just a great album, great band. I don't know what else to say. Midnight Oil. Okay, 1988. You know, for 1987, instead of Midnight Oil, I was going to show another LP, but I knew I wanted to show this, so it kind of didn't make sense. Okay, but so for 1988, Pink Floyd's Delicate Sound of Thunder. Okay, and 1987 was the release of Momentary Lapse of Reason. Okay, so this is the live album for the tour of Momentary Lapse of Reason. And I went to this show at the Oakland Coliseum. And so the reason I chose the live album is because I saw this tour. And it was an incredible show. It was raining. I was in the nosebleed seats. It was the Oakland Coliseum is an outdoor arena. Actually, they have both outdoor and indoor. There's two locations, and Floyd played the outdoor arena. Like I said, it was raining. I'm up in the nosebleed seats, and all of a sudden, through the enormous speakers around the arena comes this incredible thunder sound. Okay, just this rumbling thunder, and then this is before the show starts. And all of a sudden the thunder ends, and through the speakers comes a voice, and it says, "That was for you guys." And the whole place went nuts. And then boom, the laser shot out over the crowd. You could see the rain pouring through the laser light. Just an incredible moment, and a quick snapshot of what you are about to see and witness. And you know, this album just draws me right back to that show. And this is such an important record, this and Momentary Lapse of Reason, because this is a legendary band, you know, one of my favorite bands by no means, saying that we are still here and we are still going to continue, okay? Even though they lost Roger Waters, and we all know the story and the lawsuit that went down about, you know, David Gilmour being able to use the Pink Floyd name and everything else, but you know, this was, you know, what was to come with, you know, being followed up by Division Bell, you know, that Pink Floyd could still pull it off. And wow, you know, just incredible. So, 1988, Delicate Sound of Thunder, 2 LP, gatefold. And then I'll finish up with 1989. With another one of my favorite bands, and kind of a similar situation. Okay, this is I'll take this one out of the sleeve. Marillion, Season's End. Fish, the lead singer, had broken away from the band, was replaced, and this album was released. And you know, as for one of my favorite bands at the time, I mean, still is, but I was very heavily into Marillion. And, you know, Marillion, if you don't know them, very similar sound to Genesis. In fact, a lot of Genesis fans kind of took up Marillion, yet they do have their own sound as well. Very cool stage presence, stage show. But this album here, I was so curious, concerned, what's it going to sound like without Fish? This album is beautiful. It is such a good record. The track on here, Easter, is just insanely good. The musicianship in this band is just insane. And yes, I definitely favor and prefer all of the earlier Marillion work with Fish, and I love Fish's solo work as well. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. But this album came out, I kind of immediately had a little chip on my shoulder. This is probably not going to be very good, and I was blown away, just blown away. Incredible album. So those are my 10 choices. Yes, they were very difficult, and I definitely see what everybody means by, wow, only showing one per year, but there's so much more. Yes, there is, but also, when you're taking a decade and trying to crunch it down, if it was something like, yeah, show 5 or 10 records per year, my God, we would all have 35, 40-minute videos. So, sorry about making it one choice, but I hope everybody had fun doing it. And I hope that one of the other reasons for the thread was to get you digging back into your collection, maybe pulling some albums that you haven't pulled in a long time, and revisiting them. So anyway, like I said, thank you so much for everybody that posted a response. Thanks to everybody who may still be posting a response. I really look forward to watching them. I was so blown away that I had posted the thread, and I thought I was going to give people time. I actually didn't even sign on to YouTube for like a day, and then it was like, oh my God, I had so many responses to watch and sift through. I still think I haven't answered all the comments on my own original thread video, so I need to go visit those and get some answers put up to all the comments. But I wanted to get this up right away. I do have another video that I want to shoot in my in my collection artist series, where I take one band and I just show my entire vinyl collection on that band, and it's a big one, big band. So stay tuned for that. I think a lot of people are really going to dig that, and that'll be up in the next day or two. But thank you everybody for watching, subscribing, for commenting, and hey, stay in the groove. Peace.